G'day there, you wonderful humans. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to our Phoenix Point campaign. We're up to episode 45, I believe, with the Better Classes mod. So, we're going to have a look at some of these units we've just got sitting around. Yep. Let's start with a Berserker. So what I would like to do with a Berserker, and I probably will do with my highest level one in one of my other teams, is multiclass them with Infiltrator. Now, this is not a new class combination by any means. There was a Terminator build in traditional, like vanilla Phoenix Point. There was a, was it a Berserker Infiltrator for melee? I could be wrong about that. Anyway, a lot of the sort of like really powerful class combos don't work with this mod, but the Infiltrator has a straight damage increase at level 7. Let's go find our Infiltrator and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So at level 7, you get this ability, Sneak Attack. Attacks while hidden deal an extra 50% damage, and while located deal an extra 25% damage. So at a minimum, you're getting a 1/4 increase in your damage. And that's really the only sort of damage increase that you can get. Nothing you can do with Adrenaline Rush or Rapid Clearance is broken anymore. And those were the two sort of most of the really powerful builds were built around one of those. So as you can see here, Adrenaline Rush is now only for one-handed weapons and non-weapon skills, excepting Recover. So even in the base game, you could Adrenaline Rush, spend a bunch of will points, do some stuff, and then recover for 1 AP. You can't even do that anymore. So the best you can hope is to get a little bit of a damage increase. But with a high level Berserker, and obviously this guy isn't there yet, an Infiltrator, you could, for example, use your Adrenaline, use Vanish if you want to. You get a 50% damage buff. I'm not sure if you stay vanished through other attacks. The animation for you being invisible remains, but I'm not sure if you actually remain undetected. But you could, for example, Adrenaline Rush, Vanish, get in a couple of attacks, use Exertion, get in another attack, get in 2 attacks with Gun Cutter, and then you still have like 1 AP left over for another attack, or if you need to move back out of the way. So you get a significant amount of burst damage with a minimum of 25% and potentially 50% damage increase on all of those attacks. That's in terms of just maximum damage output in 1 turn. I think that's probably the cap of what you can do with this mod. So I'm probably going to do a little bit of that. Unfortunately, these guys don't have a whole bunch of skill points because they've just been leveling up through training centers. You don't get the same amount of skill points as you would if you were out on missions. And it does become kind of grueling to get them after you're already high level. But yeah, that's one of the things you could do with a Berserker. This guy here, you can see, also has a 10% damage boost from this ability. Now, the less willpower will actually be a problem because that sort of turn I described uses, I think, 15 will points. So losing 3 here, this guy's willpower needs to be up to like 18, almost max, for me to be able to do that, which means I have less to spend on speed and strength, which is something a build like that is also very interested in, and less to spend on some of the abilities that I'd want. But it's an extra 10% damage, which is pretty sweet. This guy here, +4 strength, so that'll also work out to be a increase in damage because your melee scales off your strength somewhat. Reduced perception is probably less debilitating. Priests are still priests. Priests have never multiclassed particularly well just because none of their abilities offer a lot of synergy to anything else. we have our biochemist here. So that's obviously in the base game, biochemist added 1 point of viral damage to each bullet. Here it increases viral paralysis, poison, and acid damage by 25% and 5% for poison grenades on each body part, as you can see. So that's just a passive boost, which could be useful for, like, obviously paralyzing. Funnily enough, with the Redeemer rifle, it actually just makes it break even, because in the mod you can see virus here has been reduced to 4. So with this 25% increase, that will bring it back up to 5, equal to the base game. The subjugator was also reduced, but it could be useful, for example, if you have like the Jormungandr, the final Phoenix Point heavy weapon that does acid damage. The paralysis boost and stuff, the thing is, it's only 25%. If you really want to do a burst of another damage type, you're probably better off with a technician. They have this level 7 ability for 4 will points, 50% to special damage, and 100% extra healing. I want to try and do something with those biochemist ability. It seems like the most interesting thing that a priest has in terms of multiclassing now. They also have these extra... Ooh, pardon me. I just had my breakfast. These extra 2 new abilities down the end. Lay Waste, which if you have more willpower than a target, you can deal a whole chunk of damage. And you can resurrect something as well, which is pretty cool, getting your own Umbra. But it has to be a humanoid target, so I don't think you can use it on Pandorans. Or maybe it is like humanoid Pandorans. But yeah, none of these abilities synergize particularly well with any of the other classes. That's unfortunately just how it be. But yeah, I am interested in maybe trying to do something with Biochemist. I just don't know what that would be. As I said, you could maybe have the Jormungandr. I was thinking of maybe a priest infiltrator with the poison crossbow to try and sneak around and get some poison into people, because poison has been buffed in this mod. I still don't know how powerful that would be, and I was thinking of doing it with this head, because then you could basically... I think the will point cost of Vanish, if I recall correctly... Okay, so it's 3 will points, and that head gives you back 2 each turn. But the problem with that, I more recently realized, is this gives you a significant penalty, a 10% penalty to your stealth. Now, if you're vanishing every turn, that's really not the end of the world. But it does make it fairly counterintuitive. And unfortunately, I think all of the priest heads give you that stealth penalty. And 2 of them are fairly low armor as well. I don't know who would ever use the psychics, this screamer head. Like, this mind control immunity is also kind of wasted, because you get an ability that gives yourself... Oh no, that's only panic and psychic scream. Okay. I guess it's something, but this is definitely the worst head. Yeah, the Judgment Head is by far the best. It also gives you the biggest bonus to your will points. But what I could maybe do... It's not particularly synergistic, but it's thematic. With a head like this, you could build sort of a paladin class by multiclassing into heavy, jumping into the fray, giving extra will points to everyone around you, like a passive aura buff. You get that return fire. You'd be heavily armored. And yeah, you could be jumping in. If you had a lot of will points, you could be like... you know, inserting yourself into the middle of the battlefield, making enemy units panic, returning fire, giving everyone protection to psychic damage, giving everyone bonus will points. I like the vibe of that, although I don't know how mechanically effective it'll be, but that's likely what I'm going to try and do with Ellen. But again, we have limited will points, and her native willpower is quite low. So we've got 7, but she also gets +4 here. So we're effectively at 11, but she has low strength, which would make wearing heavy armor difficult. In that case, I would probably arm that heavy with the Jormungandr and try Biochemist. I'd also like to play around with Breathe Mist. I think it could be really interesting in the right situation. I just wish it didn't cost 2 action points of all things. Wow, I thought it was 1 action point, but 2 action points. That makes it basically unusable. I mean, it's a significant increase in willpower, so I guess they need to balance that out with recover. But that's half your turn for something that's only useful in like 1 out of every 5 missions where there's mist, and it's mist somewhere that you care about. Sorry, I've got hiccups going on. But that's a thing that I could potentially do here. Heavies, I've been really enjoying. I think through the bulk of the game, these are the most useful class. To me, with the mod, the heavy has easily supplanted the assault as like a default class. I've found assaults to be really lackluster with this mod. They're meant to be in that sort of sweeper role, but just none of their abilities are particularly good. Aimed Burst was meant to be like a signature ability for the assault, and as I touched on in another video, you get 4 action points of attack for 3 action points, and you get some bonus accuracy. So on the surface of it, yes, it's pretty good, but assault rifles just already don't do the same damage that a shotgun does, for example. They've certainly got better range and accuracy, but like it just doesn't feel powerful enough. Like, I like assault rifles but against like very heavily armored units, like particularly with this bulldog, you can at least chip away at some armor, or with the more accurate assault rifles, you can like target a limb sometimes. But by the time you get to level 6 and get access to this ability, like it's just very underwhelming. If this were like a level 2 or 3 ability, it'd be really helpful in the early game, but by the time you get it, the functionality of an assault rifle has really fallen off. Actually, I had an interesting discussion with someone on Reddit recently about assault rifles versus shotguns, and I've gone back and forth on them. For a long time, I used to hate assault rifles and only use shotguns, but in the last like 6 months or so, I've been not even barely bothering to build shotguns and heavily favoring assault rifles. But with this playthrough, I'm sort of moving back towards, like, I'm at a point now where I'm starting to prefer shotguns again, but also just partly where I am in the campaign. Like the damage output doesn't keep up. So like the bulldog, we have a burst of 4 and damage of 40, so we're doing 160 damage if all 4 bullets hit, and there's no armor. This shotgun, damage 30, burst 10, that's 300 damage if everything hits and there's no armor. That's more than the Deceptor, I believe. Deceptor 35, 12. Okay, it's not. So the Deceptor's doing over like 350, 350 plus 70 is doing like 420 if everything hits. Obviously the Hell is 200. But yeah, the shotgun will do more damage than the Hell Cannon if everything hits. The only thing close to it, the only thing it's comparable to is the Deceptor. Like it's almost double the damage of the assault rifle. So getting 2 attacks for 3 action points, like, it is an upgrade, and you also get that accuracy bonus, which is helpful, but if this costs less skill points, if this was like a 10 SP skill, I would heartily recommend it. But for 20 skill points, that's like 2 stat points. That's, depending on the ability, I could get something like this twice. Think about quarterback. The bonus grenade range is just gravy, but that's like +2 speed for 20 skill points. Like, the amount of skill points it costs and the mediocrity of the weapon that it forces you into, I really don't feel like Aimed Burst is worth it. Alternatively, as I said, making it like a level 2 unlock so that you get that utility in the early game when it's actually useful could also make it really nice, because that's around the time. So, assaults used to have dash, so they had a lot of utility getting around the battlefield, getting to the right place at the right time. They've lost that. It's gone to berserkers. They have quick aim now, but which sometimes you can do basically the same thing. You spend 3 points on movement and then quick aim, but it's not really the same, and you do get an accuracy penalty. I don't know. Assaults have just felt very lackluster for me. I think they're the most heavily nerfed class in the game. The information release for... Sorry, BRB. The information release slash presentation slash slide deck for the mod suggested assaults are meant to be the most versatile class, and I just don't know that they are particularly versatile. To me, it sort of feels like they're versatile in the sense that they don't do anything particularly well anymore. Having quick aim is nice. I think kill and run is probably the most appealing ability that the assault brings to the table now, getting a free move, but it can only proc once per turn. You could potentially try and make like some sort of clearance build, maybe an assault berserker, using like a one-handed melee weapon so that you like kill one thing, get that free bit of movement, and play into the mobility aspect of the berserker. But I don't know what else you can do. Onslaught is obviously a very useful utility skill. Ready for action is always a useful utility skill. Rapid clearance is... It's obviously far less powerful than it used to be, but I think it's a much better balanced skill than it used to be. So you can no longer generate AP with it. You can just get AP reduction on your next attack. I'm sure you could still get some mad kill chains going on. It's just going to be a lot harder because you can't ever get like a 1 AP. You can't ever generate that AP. So like the kill chains used to work by, you'd be able to generate some AP, which you could then use on movement, attack something for 1 AP if you're using Adrenaline Rush, for example, or the Vengeance Torso, get 2 AP back so you can move again. You can't do that, so you'd need to be in the middle of a bunch of enemies, but you still could get some good kill chains if you've got a few enemies that are softened up a little bit. Ready for action, obviously still very good. Also makes the assault good with a technician that wants to use a lot of turrets and get in and out of their backpack. Or even a heal bot technician that has to carry around a lot of med kits and stuff. Yeah, I think if you want to build a classic technician, assault's probably the best multi-class for them. But I feel a little bit gypped with all of my base class assaults. And unfortunately, they're the class you get the most of in the game. But there are the assault abilities, aimed burst and quarterback, just don't seem that great. Obviously, quarterback's really good, getting the bonus speed. But yeah, the aimed burst is a bit lackluster, and I just feel like I don't know what assaults want to do anymore. I think probably the best thing you could do for an offensive assault now is what I did here with No, not here with Leia. Where are you? Here with Beacon and multi-class into an Infiltrator. I feel like currently, based on my read-through and my experience so far, I feel like Infiltrator is your default multi-class for most things now, just because of the damage buff. Like, there's the really busted synergies in the game don't exist anymore, so you don't get those ridiculous force multipliers that you could get through using Adrenaline Rush and or Rapid Clearance. So I feel like, in terms of maximizing offense, the next best thing you can do is just get a across-the-board 25% damage increase and a sometimes 50% damage increase in the ability to disappear. You can see here, I've only got 2 abilities off this tree. Weak spot's nice, but not that relevant, because, like, yeah, with someone like this, you're probably getting in close, using a shotgun, and yeah, just trying to get as many kills as you can. The best option would obviously be with the silent echo head, so that your weapon attacks are all silent. Obviously, then, like, yeah, movement, I've got this accuracy buff that feels good, and like all of the assault abilities are useful here. I probably in retrospect, if you were trying for a build like this, I wouldn't get Onslaught. This is more likely to be a character that someone else is using Onslaught to give action points to. But everything else here is useful. Free reload, obviously useful. Bonus movement after kills, quick aim, like these all directly boost your offense, as does rapid clearance. And then you just get a nice little damage buff and the ability to disappear to maximize the damage buff. I think that's the best you can hope to do with an assault in terms of offense. I think the only thing Infiltrator probably doesn't suit well is your utility classes, the priest and the technician. Doesn't really add anything to either of those classes, but that's always been the case with those two classes, that nothing really does. Obviously, you have always been able to do, you have in the past been able to do some busted things with technicians and remote control, and like just giving them more AP to take control of turrets, because turrets are really powerful, but they've also adjusted the way that turrets work. So they reduced the action point cost of a turret firing. So you can fire more often, but the turrets do less damage per burst. So instead of having 2 attacks at 2 AP each, I think it's 4 attacks at 1 AP each. Which means remote control is now less powerful, because you can use this, take control, you get 1 shot with the turret, and then remote control ends. So you don't get as much damage per use of remote control. So that's been, again, brought a bit back in check, because that was also a little bit overpowered. So yeah, I don't know that anything gives technicians necessarily. I don't know what synergizes particularly well with a technician. I like this new ability giving enemies extra accuracy. I like that you get electric reinforcement a lot earlier in the game. Still a very good ability. And I find this new ability stability quite interesting. So you get 5% extra accuracy per remaining AP up to 20%. So if you take a shot and it's your first action for the turn, you should have plus 20% accuracy on that shot because you've got 4 AP. I don't know how you would take advantage of that, but it's just intriguing to me. When I was first reading through this, I thought of like maybe doing an Infiltrator technician, because the infiltrators also get, where is it? A passive ability, cautious. They get an extra 20% accuracy. So just passively at the first shot in your turn, that's a 40% damage boost. And I still want to play around and see how that plays out with, say, a heavy weapon. Between those two, that almost undoes the penalty from a weapon that you're not proficient with. I'm pretty sure the proficiency penalty is 50%. So you get 40%, so that should about even out. You've also got this Phantom Protocol. If they're a Synedrian unit, get an extra 25% accuracy. So you could build something with a lot of accuracy. Obviously, I thought of heavy weapons, obviously because they're generally the least accurate, so they would benefit the most from the accuracy buff, but also they usually require 3 action points to fire. So you're normally only firing once per turn as well, because as we saw with the technician, that accuracy buff reduces with each action point that you use. So I'm not entirely sure how it works because I haven't tested it yet, but I was thinking 1 big shot with a big accuracy bonus and then whatever for the rest of your turn. Now you can see here I've got a sniper technician. Now this build is just for lols for me, but the idea here is to do a significant amount of burst paralysis damage. I haven't been able to test this in game yet or show it off, but basically we've got this amplify ability that adds 50% to special damage, such as paralysis. And, you know, if you were building this from scratch, you wouldn't need all the abilities that I've built here. But basically what I want to play around with As I said, it's mostly just for lols. But if my maths is correct, I think you should be able to pump out 70 paralysis damage with this unit. With the neural pistol, costs 1 AP to fire. It has 7 paralysis per shot. You can activate this to get a 50% bonus. So 50% of 7 is 3.5. Let's assume they round it down to 3. That is 10 per shot. So off your base attacks, you get 4 base attacks, 1 AP each, which is then 10 each. That's 40. And then you can use Gunslinger, which doesn't require any action points, to fire your handgun 3 more times. So that's potentially another 30 for a maximum of 70 paralysis in 1 turn. Obviously, you get an accuracy debuff on Gunslinger. You'd need to be at close range to try this, but I just want to do it at least once for the lols. And it would cost like, what, 7 will points in total for that combo to play out. It seems reasonable. The other thing you could do is get stability, as I said. Get that accuracy buff. And then use this as the first thing you do in the turn. So you've got the minus 50%, but that's somewhat mitigated by the bonus 20%. You're still less accurate, but it'll help deal with it. So those are some of my thoughts about what you could do with multiclassing here. But yeah, I don't know. As I said, I feel like the default for most things now is Infiltrator. Like Infiltrator Sniper, still nice. You get a damage buff on your sniper. Obviously, a base sniper also would go well with a heavy. We've discussed that a few times and you've seen it in action because you get that jetpack and the 1 AP overwatch. And with kill zone, you can jetpack right in front of something, particularly if it's a melee unit, something that has to move. You then get 2 attacks with a heavy weapon at close range, which is pretty sexy if you ask me. Is it necessarily better than an Infiltrator sniper? I don't know. It's definitely more versatile than an Infiltrator sniper. You can still use it as a sniper if you want to. You can use it in the way you would use a heavy if you want to. You've got better armor. You won't be as accurate. You won't be able to do as the same one-shot damage from extreme range that an Infiltrator sniper would, but you have a much more versatile unit and something that's still incredibly powerful in that double overwatch with a heavy weapon. So I'm not sure which of those two is the better route. Obviously, I have an Infiltrator sniper, and I think I have... Do I only have one heavy sniper? I really thought I had at least a second. So far, I've found the heavy sniper to be more fun, subjectively more enjoyable to play with. I don't know which is necessarily better though. And of course the snipers get the heavies get the destiny array, which also is basically like a little shoulder mounted sniper gun. So I don't really know what the best option is, but my personal preference is leaning a bit towards heavy there. Spoke a bit about technician, spoke a little bit about priest. I'm probably going to make a heavy priest with this one just for the lols. And yeah, that's my TED talk. Thanks for coming in. So I think Matthias here, we're probably going to just bite the bullet, become a heavy. So we want kill zone. So we've got kill zone, overwatch focus. Really didn't need armor break. Maybe shouldn't have got that, but it's too late now. But yeah, 1, 2, 3 abilities to do the core thing that you want with this build. That's fairly cheap. This soldier isn't understated. It's just like sort of average stats in everything. We don't have a lot of skill points. Obviously, getting something like Inspire would be nice. All of the heavy abilities are pretty good. Skirmish is good. You could also build a really tanky heavy. I know WD Gaming did like sort of a tank heavy build on their channel a little while ago. It was a heavy Berserker. that would only be even more tanky with this mod, because the heavy has extra survivability skills that they didn't have before in Hunger Down, Skirmisher, Shred Resistance, all plays into that tank role. So, and obviously you've also got Return Fire, but yeah, you can get in, you've got Shred Resistance, you get a 25% damage resistance, you get bonus damage if you take damage, and then you combine that with the Berserker abilities, Close Quarters Evade, so you're taking less damage again from close enemies, and also potentially Bloodlust, where you take damage, you do more damage. So there's some overlap in the skills there. Like, there's a few skills that both the Berserker and the Heavy have that do similar things and both play into that tanking, being under fire, being in the thick of battle sort of idea. But I don't really know how powerful that would be. You can abuse Bloodlust. I know some people do, to by damaging your own dudes to get the 25% damage bonus, but that's not something I've ever been interested in personally. But you could definitely stack a lot of damage resistance by using Close Quarters Evade and Hunker Down, getting Shred Resistance, and yeah, you can even double up on the extra damage you get from being attacked if you want to. We'll just give this guy some normal pants. Counteract the speed penalty. Need to make some better technician stuff for this guy. Make another Destiny as well. Now, obviously, I could just swap them around before and after missions between whoever has them, but can't afford to make one at the moment. That's just not the best look in the world, is it? Not the best look in the world. Does have extra grenade damage, so should probably try and load him up with a grenade launcher, but such low carry weight. Such low carry weight, and I can't build grenades at the moment. So I want to go over and tackle this, but who have I got? Obviously, I've got a reasonably fleshed out team available already from the gift. And it will be quite a challenging mission. I also need to decide what to do with Elif over here. Again, could also just be another sniper heavy. It's a good combo. Probably will be. But, I did just make one more of those, so... But yeah, it would be nice to take at least a couple of these units as well. don't have any more Berserker armor. Probably the next best thing I can do for him. But we'll wait a minute till that technician stuff builds, and then we'll take the technician as part of that mission. And in the meantime, we'll go and trade, get some resources. Okay, so these guys need to heal up, and then they've got to try and take down a citadel, which they're probably woefully unprepared for. Like, I really, without Warcry and without Warcry and without the... I guess we're going to go defend this base. Yeah, without Warcry and without the Biochemist Deceptor combo, I'm not super sure how we're going to do it, to be honest. What is this new research I have? Food harvesting technology, excellent. This one is worth getting. It's much better than the food growing situation. So we'll pick up in the next video. As always, guys, thanks for tuning in. You stay brilliant. I'm going to catch you real soon.